Nervous. Hey, it is Gary Carpenter with Master Real Estate Academy Coaching, and I just wanted to welcome you back this week. If you weren't here last week, we kicked off a series which was Mastering Your Real Estate Business Top Agent series. So on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock, we are interviewing a top agent somewhere in the country. I don't know, we may even go out of the country, but with COVID, I don't know if we're allowed to do that yet. So we have to check that out. But anyhow, I would like to I usually read an introduction for somebody, but I was doing some Googling and YouTube stuff and looking for stuff. And I just love this video of our agent today. So I am just going to pull up this little video and I'm going to play it. And you guys can just sit back and enjoy it. So let me get my technology thing going on here, and we'll see what happens.
I'm Shay Spitz, and here are 3 things you might not know about me. Sing. I like to sing on my own. I was absolutely terrible at it, but I do love to sing when nobody's around and nobody's listening. When I was 11 years old, I started my own dog boarding business, which is still currently going on. And my sister now runs a very large dog boarding business. We started out with 3 dog kennels pieced together, and now my sister has like 25 dog kennels. Athletic, homebody, and social.
All right, so I thought that was really cute and thought that was fun. So I'd like everybody to meet, well, her name is SHAYLYNN, but I call her Shay. So Shay, hello, how are you today?
Hi. Good, how are you?
Fantastic. Now, you did not know that I was going to play that video. And I knew I was going to play your introduction, but you didn't know I was going to go in that. But I'm going to tell you, so we've been together every Friday for the last few weeks doing a video, kind of just a video accountability group and trying to put video together. And that is a classic example of what your people want to see. And I'm going to tell you right now that the production that you're doing right now is in a direct result of that. And just so you know, the 3 things that you just said that you do: homebody and social.
No, you missed it. So it does say athletic. So it says athletic right away. It was athletic.
No, I heard athletic, but I'm just saying the word homebody and social. I don't
go together. Gotcha.
You're a social homebody. I love it. All right. So, well, let's just jump right in. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So, first of all, tell people where you're from, where you're at, what city, all that type of stuff.
So I'm in Columbus, Nebraska, originally from a small town called Newman Grove, 600 people. Right now, I am currently working the Columbus market. I also have sold and bought a bunch of properties in the surrounding smaller communities.
So you also, like our guest last week, A-MAZ-ING, she was also an investor before she actually got into the real estate business. So what made you decide going from investor to saying, I want to get my real estate license?
Well, I fell in love with the atmosphere of real estate. I love finding properties, being able to convert them into an actual livable home, something that people love. I love getting to meet people, new people, and just kind of going through the entire process. And then I also thought, well, why would I pay somebody else when I can pay myself? So that was kind of the reason why I wanted to go from what I was doing to a full-time real estate agent.
Okay. And so when you first got into the business, was it overwhelming in the beginning?
Yes, I remember. So I went from working as a case manager in a completely different community to full-time real estate agent. I jumped head first into going full-time. And I remember my first day working, and I got there and I'm like, what do I do? I sat at this cubicle and I'm like, okay, like I had no idea what I was doing. There was nobody to tell me what to do. So I was like, all right, I guess here we go.
So what did you start? So what, in your first year of doing real estate, what were you doing and how many transactions did you do your first year?
So actually within my first 4 months, I was able to close on 14 transactions. The first full year, it was like 38, I believe.
Wow.
So I did a lot of FSBOs. So I was calling and door knocking. I didn't love it, but I did get probably 3 listings just off of FSBOs. I was doing a lot of going to appointments or going to meetings, like getting involved with the chamber and getting to know people. So that's kind of where I started branching out.
Right. So FSBOs were the main thing. You were doing door knocking and stuff like that. So did you do anything? So you only got 3. So you did 38 transactions your first year. So where did most of that other business come from?
So a lot of the business did come from when I was renovating properties and just building relationships that way. We did properties here in Columbus, so there was a few transactions with that and with my sphere. I also had a couple listings and buyers from broker leads that she would pass off. My broker would give me as when I was on floor time as part of like relocation companies. So I got a few from there, a few listings and a few buyers from there as well. And so I would say it's kind of a combination between the FSBOs, the relocation companies or broker referrals, and then sphere.
Okay. So were you getting a lot of business from your sphere or were you just getting maybe a couple?
I wouldn't say a lot. I think when you have your sphere, it's kind of almost hard to work them only because they know you in a totally different realm.
Right.
So they're almost harder to work just because you have to prove to them that you are this professional, that you know what you're doing, that you know what you're talking about in order for them, even though they like, know, and trust you for the most part, but it's a totally different, it's professional versus like relationship.
Right. Okay. Hey, do you by chance have your Facebook open right now with the stream going?
Like on my cover page?
Yeah, on your just in your video and on your screen. Because I'm hearing feedback back, and I don't know if it's me or it's you.
No, I don't. Let me just double check.
Okay, I think we're okay now. I just closed something on my screen here, so I think we're good. All right, good. All right, back to the vibe. Sorry, squirrel. I was hearing an echo, and it was my fault, so it wasn't your fault. So, all right. So that was your first year. Okay, so now you're into your second year. We've got 2020. Mm-hmm. We got January, February. Very optimistic about how your year is going to go. Then, bam, March hits. Mm-hmm. And we're closing down the country.
Yes. I guess I would say that I wasn't going to let that stop me because the world keeps spinning. I wasn't going to stop. I still had buyers wanting to look. We just had to critique it and adapt. We were already doing the virtual tours. We were already doing the 3D Matterport, so all of that. The only difference was those agencies who didn't do those things, I was going there and either doing a FaceTime with my clients or doing a video and then sending it to my clients. I was still always here at the office at all times. If my clients wanted me to wear a mask, I would definitely do it. If sellers were requesting masks to be worn, obviously I would do it. So it's just adapting with the change and going with the flow. You can't resist. You have to keep moving forward.
So just to give our listeners a little perspective, Columbus, Nebraska, probably population of 2 million people.
Yeah, pretty close. 25,000.
25. All right. So 25,000. How many agents would you say are in your market that you're competing against?
There's 110, but that's not full time. That's, part-time and stuff like that. Yeah,
and with you, I don't know if you know these numbers or not, but what on average of listings are coming on the market per week right now? Do you have any idea?
Maybe 7.
7 houses a week coming on the market. So I just want anybody who is complaining that lives in a big city like Omaha or Portland or Vancouver or, in the state of Philadelphia or Chicago or anything else, you're dealing with a very limited I would even call it a niche market, is Columbus, Nebraska. So, so your second year, we're sitting here so far, we're at almost at the end of August. How many transactions have you done so far this year? Are you close to beating last year?
I've had 46 closed this year. Mm-hmm.
Nice. And anything pending right now?
And I have 9 pending, and I am signing on 3 listings this week. And I have other current active listings. And then I'm also working on 3 new constructions, which, well, that's one of the listings too. And I'll get those under contract here soon. Very
nice. Very nice. So this is not even your, well, we're sitting here in August. It's you've been in the business for 2 years.
Yeah.
And you're probably projected to maybe do 60, 70 transactions for the year.
Yeah, my goal was 50. That was my goal that I set at the beginning of the year, that I wanted to do 50 transactions.
Well, good for you. That is awesome.
Yep. So
are you pumped about that?
Well, I get close to my goal, and then I just got to push it a little bit more. So you never really want to reach it. You just got to keep pushing yourself.
So what's your confidence level like now, 2 years in?
Yeah, I'm honestly very confident. I do a lot of education. I'm not going to ever stop educating myself, because that's going to be your biggest return. Obviously, I have a coach that I'm very easy to coach. Sometimes I have a hard time like getting my information, like schedule and stuff, to my coach. But it is very important to have somebody who's always coaching you, who's always going to push you to the next level, even just a little bit different and a little bit more creative, or a different way of looking at something. So it's very important to be able to take other people's advice and to consider them.
Very nice. Very nice. So, all right. So I sent you some questions to kind of look at. So I'm looking at this first one. What do your clients love most about you? And what makes you stand out from the crowd of those 120 agents in Columbus, Nebraska?
I would say that I really put myself out there. I really put myself on social media, which is not always the funnest thing to do. But I think that's a big thing, is just letting people know that you are an agent, always educating yourself. So that's where my confidence comes from, is because I know that I know my stuff. And I want my clients to be served as best as possible when I'm representing them in a transaction. So if it's a lake house property, if it's a acreage, you need to know like well and septic. You need to know the loan types, if your buyers are going to need help with closing costs and prepays, or their down payment. So there's just so much more that goes into real estate than just buying and selling. So it's very important to be able to know your stuff and be confident. And then I think that's what kind of makes me stand out. I'm not faking it. I really do put a lot of education into myself.
Well, and I know that that's true, because I talked to Renee over this past weekend, and she did say the one comment she made about you is that Renee takes all of the company resources and really implements those into her business. So, which is really cool. And that's a testament of your broker saying that about you. So, all right. What is the best real estate business advice you have ever received? Now, this is 2 years. This isn't 20 years of real estate experience, but it's 2 years. And although, just so you know, I deal with a lot of real estate agents, and you're in the top, if not probably in Columbus, you're in the top 1%, I'm sure, if not the 1%. But if you're in a, just a little bit larger market, you are definitely in the top 1% of real estate agents producing after 2 years of being in it. But what's the best advice anybody's ever given you that you can remember?
The main thing that sticks in my head, and this is what I tell a lot of other agents, is get very comfortable being uncomfortable. I would definitely say that, because getting into real estate, you do have to put yourself out there, and you will have people to try and take you down. Or if you're doing well, they notice that. So then I don't know if it's instinct for humans, but you just need to worry and focus on yourself and where you're going, and not anybody else around you. Yes, you want to help those if you need help, but don't worry about other people's success. Praise them, applaud them, because that is what's important. That's what's going to get you to the next level.
And would you say that you've learned the business? I know you've done education, you've taken classes and stuff, but would you say that the best education that you've taken is actually getting out there and doing the business, going on listing appointments, working with buyers, writing up purchase contracts?
Yep. I learn the most from my mistakes, and that is for sure. We will make mistakes. I know I have made mistakes. I will make mistakes. Anybody who's been in the business for 40 years, I don't care. You're going to make mistakes. It's just acknowledging it and accepting it and learning from it.
And not really letting it affect you very much, right? And just kind of moving on, because you're always going to do it. And, I've been in the business for a little over 22 years, and you're always going to have questions. You're always going to have that. I mean, and you're never, ever going to know all of it, right? But you will always know enough. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, everything's always changing. You're never going to know everything, ever.
Okay. This is a good one. I like this question. And I want to get you, you've done enough transactions to where I would listen to you with the answer to this question. Okay. What do you believe is the number one thing holding agents back from becoming highly successful?
Leveraging their time, hands down. I think that you need to be able to, because you can work as hard as you want. I don't want to work 100 hours a week. So in order for me to be home with my family, I have 3 kids and a husband that I want to spend time with. So I think leveraging your time, and you're never going to be able to move to the next level if you don't delegate some of that time to somebody else.
So what does that mean? When you say leveraging your time, what does that mean to you?
So I hired a virtual assistant who takes care of all my Boomtown leads. He gets those appointments set, and then I would go on to those appointments, or I'd follow up with them and either confirm or set a new appointment. I also have my own marketing lady who we get some content every month or 2, and then she will put things together and post them for me on behalf of myself a few times a week. We just changed it up a little bit. So instead of her posting 5 times or 4 times to Facebook and Instagram, she's going to do a couple times on Facebook, Instagram. Now she's doing YouTube and LinkedIn. So those are 2 things that I've leveraged my time so far, in addition to having a coach and then eventually getting an assistant.
So, leveraging your time for marketing,
Mm-hmm.
and leveraging your time for cold call lead generation, right? Yep. So you still do your lead generation when it comes to your farm, and not farm, but your sphere of influence?
Yes, my sphere of influence, I still do that myself. My VA will do, so we have like the Mojo dialer. So he's called certain neighborhoods and try to cultivate them that way. He's called like for sale by owners. He's got me a couple there. Trying to think of what else. Another thing that he's going to do, I just created a template on Boomtown that whenever he sets an appointment with a buyer, he will send them an email that has our buyer presentation with some more information. And then if he sets an appointment with a seller, he will automatically send them an email for the seller presentation. So that way they get that before I get there. Cool.
That is it. So basically kind of like a pre-listing packet before you.
Yep.
So how much do you, if you don't mind me asking, how much does it cost you to have a VA?
$500 a month, and he does 10 hours a week.
So 40 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cheap.
Yeah. Well, and so because he goes above and beyond, honestly, I will also pay him a small commission on every transaction that closes that he had set. And I'm a very honest person that I would not pay him, because he needs some sort of an incentive to keep pushing forward. He called somebody on a Saturday one time because he saw a lead come in, and he called them, and I'm like, you don't need to do that. I felt bad, but yeah, I got the appointment, and I went to the listing yesterday, and she's coming in to sign Friday. So I mean, like, he's on top of it, and I want to be able to hire him for more, but I know I need to leverage my time by hiring an assistant before I get to that point.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. So if you woke up tomorrow morning, okay, it's always good to wake up, right? And you still had all the experience and knowledge you currently have, but your business was gone, disappeared, and you had to start over, what would you do?
I would network. Network is a huge thing, getting to know people in the community, just kind of getting the word out there, and marketing. Branding yourself and then marketing. As much as people don't like social media, it is still a very important aspect in your business, and just kind of being a little bit of everywhere. And that's why I have a marketing lady, because I don't know a lot about certain social media platforms, but she does. And I'm not going to take the time to learn all that. So I would rather pay somebody a monthly fee to do that for me.
Okay. So if somebody was on watching this video, whether it's the recording or somebody's watching it live right now. Oh, and by the way, we do have 4 listeners, which is kind of cool, right? The most I've ever had was 16, but we just dropped down to 3. But if anybody has a question, please feel free to make a comment. You know, a lot of times I find that people are driving and then just popping onto this because, again, even though I schedule these, doesn't mean that people are throwing this in their schedule. So, but we do get a lot of views when we boost this, you know, these videos and stuff like that. So I know that they really do help people. So, and then, all right. So what advice would you give to agents as the top action steps to increase closings for this year?
I would say a lot of cold calling. So I don't like to do that. So I have a VA who does that, but really drilling the phones, because he does drill the phones and he does go hard at it, trying to leverage your time as much as possible, finding somebody to kind of take on some of those busy work items, I guess you could say, and putting yourself out there, meeting with new people, go to coffee shops, sit there. I've done that a few times. I haven't gotten any leads from it. But, you know, just getting people to know and recognize your face and that you're out there in the community, I would say just that's really important.
Good.
And giving back, like donating, you know, that's a huge, especially if you're going to be donating locally.
Well, just basically what I'm hearing you say is just finding different ways within your community to engage.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, sometimes it's, you know, being here in Omaha, Nebraska, you know, we don't engage necessarily in Omaha, but we are in 68134 zip code. We live in a Keystone subdivision with 2,200 homes. We go to church, you know, with a church that's close to here. Our kids go to, you know, so it's engaging in that little community. And so I think it's the same thing as, you know, when you first initially said, you know, you showed up to the office, you sat in a cubicle and you're like, okay, what's next? Right? So you would not at all, 2 years in, you know, probably closing almost 100 transactions in that 2 years, knowing exactly, which gives that confidence, right? Of being able, that if you did have to move to a different city, if you did have to go someplace else, that you wouldn't, it's not that it wouldn't be easy, but it would, you'd actually know where to start and what to do. So.
Yeah.
Cool. That's cool. I love it. I love it. And, but I'm going to tell you right now that I truly believe that whenever an agent says that they're not making enough money, it's just because they don't have enough opportunities. And then if they have enough opportunities, but they're still saying, I don't make enough money, then there's probably a personality problem. And there's always something that I can never coach or teach, and that's likability, right? Yeah. And the one thing that you do have is likability, okay? You're the full package when you go to somebody's house and you get that opportunity to list. Now, again, have you ever had a situation to where you went to a listing and you didn't get it?
Yes.
And how did you feel when you didn't get it?
It used to, I was kind of, I mean, I get still kind of bummed, but I do always ask, like, if they call me to say, hey, we decided to go with this other person, I do like to know why, like, what could I have done? What, I mean, because it's more for me, not for their sake, but for me on what I could learn and what I could have done differently. If it's a commission thing, then that's on them, because I'm not going to sacrifice my commission, because I know I put a lot of money and time and effort into my education, and I know what I'm talking about. So, I have definitely missed out on deals, and I just brush it off and I move on. I'm not going to dwell on it. And then referring back to your money scenario, if somebody's saying I'm not making enough money, to be honest, it's not about the money. And if you're so focused on that next deal, or you're so focused on that money, you're not doing it for the right reason. And you're going to always be chasing that next deal. Do I acknowledge my finances? Absolutely. But I'm not going to focus like, oh, I'm going to get commission off of this, or this is what I'm going to make off of this. No, that's not what it's about. It's doing the right thing, and then the money will come in.
Very nice. Wow, words of wisdom. Are you like 50 or something? How old are you? You sound, you have wisdom. You have wisdom beyond your age.
That's what podcasts and audiobooks do.
All right, so we are, if you had one book to refer out to somebody, what would it be? What should be that one book that they should read?
The One Thing.
The One Thing. Very good book. Yeah, I've read it and I teach it. That is a very, very good book. So what's the one thing you got from The One Thing?
Have a one thing.
Focusing on one thing, right?
Yeah.
The most important thing, right?
So you have to you have your ultimate goal, but what's going to be that one thing that's going to get you to that goal? Because you can't just set a goal and say weight loss. You can't say I want to lose 100 pounds. Okay, well, what are you going to do to make that change to get to that goal? Because you have to make those smaller changes in order to get to your ultimate why. Right.
And I think Gary Keller says it is, what's the one thing that you could do
today
by doing it basically makes everything irrelevant. So like, if you want to make, if you want to close 50 transactions, what's the one thing, right? Lead generation, right? Lead generation, creating opportunities for yourself and that type of stuff. All right. So we're at the 26 mark. I've gone through all my questions. You've done a fantastic job. Congratulations on 2020. You've been talking about this coach. You got this coach that you work with. Who is this person?
I just came off the street. No, his name is Gary.
Awesome. That's called a selfless plug right there. So if you are finding the need that you need a little bit of direction in your business, feel free to text or give me a call at any time. I think probably the incentive for my coaching is I don't charge you anything. Well, unless you make money. If you make money, then I'll send you a bill. But if you don't make any money, I'm not going to send you a bill. And there's no reason why we should be in a relationship if you don't make any money. Yeah. Who do you got there? Who's that?
I was trying to
point to me.
It's opposite. Just trying to point at you, but I'm going this way. Definitely give him a call. Yeah.
All right. Well, do you have any closing remarks?
Honestly, just don't give up and keep going and get creative. Think of different ways to make yourself stand out, and never stop learning.
Well, awesome. All right, Shay, thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm sure that our listeners will benefit greatly with your words of wisdom. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.